Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we have some cool draft review. Vintage Cube Draft is one of my favorite formats, and I managed to win a 64 player a couple of days ago, so I thought I wanted to go through my draft and go through the games. And yeah, hopefully you guys enjoy it. So let's get into it. So the 64 player drafts are single elimination. That's just worth noting. When you lose, you're out. That's just how it goes. I opened this pack. So first of all, let's go full screen here. This pack does not have any power in it, so the pick is not going to be obvious here. For me, it's between Skull Clamp, a card that will go in most decks, and especially if you have it, you can kind of prioritize a little bit of token creation or value creatures with 1 toughness. And if you're in an attacking deck, just putting it on a random 2/2 or 3/3, all of a sudden you're attacking beneficially and blocking for that matter. So Skull Clamp is a card that is somewhat misunderstood. I don't think it's, oh, you need a bunch of mana elves for it to be good at all. You can just put it on a creature and attack, and then all of a sudden that creature is pseudo-unblockable. So very, very strong card. Recurring Nightmare is a cool build around that I'm not going to take this early. Then we have Lurrus. Lurrus is another build around where, especially if you get it early, you can prioritize, you know, spells and cheap permanents. Sometimes that's what you want to do anyway, but actually I feel like this cube has so many good 3s and 4s, you know, Minsk and Boost, the Sheldreds, the One Rings of the world, and then, you know, just a ton of good 3-drops as well. What I end up taking here is Noble Hierarch, and this is basically you can call it a Mox with Summoning Sickness, right? Exalted is awesome in creature matchups. It's even, you know, like it's way better than taking a Triome, right? You get 3 colors. So yeah, I end up picking the Noble Hierarch. I don't know if I should show the picks here. I should probably just do that. So I start the draft with Noble Hierarch. Then I get past an Oko. I mean, this pick is somewhat easy. I take Oko. I already have a Noble that can accelerate it out. Pretty clean follow-up here. Worth noting in this pack, the next best card is probably between Lelia, Springheart, and Tuco Miscalculation. Honorable mention Through the Breach. So I am passing some blue and green, but I'm hopefully setting up for some multicolor action. And Oko, something you can easily play off the splash. You don't have to be blue at all. Next pack, I have the choice between taking another green card or take a land that hopefully will help cast my spells. And I think this is a pretty clear Scalding Tarn. Scalding Tarn is good if I connect with some duels. For the time being, it's not better than a basic island, but I have high confidence that it will be when the dust settles, so that's kind of the logic. I'm passing Hex Drinker, which is kind of annoying. Next pack is incredibly soft. Like, it's really not a strong pack. I end up taking Savai Triome. This card is basically all the colors that Noble is not. But I will say this, it connects with Scalding Tarn. It lets me take stuff like Forthialingas, Orcish Bowmasters, I don't know, Gut, Bombardier Fable, like those red cards as well. So Savai Triumph is probably a card that lets me draft the best card out of a future pack, so that's the logic here. If I was just going to stay on my blue-green story arc, I don't even know what I would take here, so I really like this pick. Next up is one of these cards that I don't even know what I would translate it into, but I have a word for it in Danish. It's basically cards like Dismember, Strip Mine, Getaction Probe, Skull Clamp, Palantir, cards that will make almost any deck and just be super serviceable. So I end up taking that card. Could have taken Reclaimer, speculated on some land stuff, but I think it's better to just take a solid 3-drop. I'm noting a big black reanimation target here and a solid red burn spell. Other than that, pretty weak pack. Up next, I can now have a choice between Stomping Ground, which is, you know, theoretical fixing. Very, very possible I should have taken that card. I can take Sheldog Isle, which helps cast Oko, and is just going to be good in most decks, especially if I can go a little bit bigger or turn through my deck. Fetches, cantrips, draw spells, you name it. So once again, I'm drafting for a little bit of upside. I could have drafted for versatility, or I could have drafted just bread and butter, tick and endurance, and I just knew it would be a fine, you know, spell 20 through 23rd in my deck. Next up, I have Lotus Cobra. So right now I'm feeling pretty good about my fetch land. I'm feeling good about my Triome. I'm feeling good about Noble and Cobra. So now I'm trying to settle into this multicolor green deck that hopefully will have insane card quality when the dust settles. Up next is Questing Beast. Questing Beast is fine. In a deck like where you have access to 4 colors, it's not amazing, but it's never going to be bad. It's insane against Planeswalkers, good in races. Yeah, just a solid card. Noting now that Metamorphosis Fanatic and Fatal Push is still here. So right now I'm happy that I'm multicolor green. Let's say I was only blue-green, right? Then I would feel like I was in the wrong colors. But because I can actually pick from a lot of colors, thanks to Noble, Cobra, and Triumph, plus Fetch, I'm actually not feeling that bad. And then I get a very nice gift here. Late Tireless Tracker and Cobra, 2 landfall creatures. And now I'm looking for more fetches. This is going well. Here I'm taking Creeping Tar Pit over Tribal Flames. Unclear if that's correct. At this point, I'm basically saying I might want some black cards down the road. Let's keep that door open. What I could have done was take Tribal Flames and then hope to have a deck with, a couple of fetches, a couple of Triomes, and then just a solid burn spell. But for now, I don't even know if I'm casting red spells, so close pick. So here I end up taking Waterlock Grove because it actually right now helps me cast Oko, where the Overgrown Tomb is speculative, and so is the Triome. This pick is very close. I wouldn't fault anyone for taking either of those other lands there. And I take the Worm. I hope to don't play that card, especially if you're 4 colors. You shouldn't really play that card. Here I hate pick the Velgavoth, take a Fast Bond, take a Hogak, and we're off to pack 2. So, funnily enough, we start off pack 2 here with a Bombardier. Let's say I did not pick up incidental red fixing. Then I would just take a Seaga's Chariot and be reasonably fine with that as well. But I can take Broadside Bombardier here. That card can definitely finish games. It's a decent first pick. It's obviously not a, it's not a power piece, but it's, probably like a top 10 card outside of power. That maybe top 15. Very good. I followed up with a Fury here out of a very strong pack with Demonic Tutor and Thoughtseize. So sure, I could take Demonic Tutor. The thing is, in a deck like this, what are we really Demonic Tutoring for that's worth it? We don't have the, the Tinker of the world, the Flash of the world. Could get Natural Order later, obviously, but I like Fury a lot here. So 2 red cards back to back. So I'm looking to go into some teamer action here. Here, I take a bread and butter Elvish Mystic after passing and the Finthorn Elves. I don't know. I'm not excited about this pick 3 at all, but, could be fine. Would have loved Birds or Halfling for obvious reasons. And speaking of Birds, here's Birds of Paradise. So this is a pack. This is so strong. So Catriotrom is awesome. Nadu is awesome. But I end up taking Birds. Birds is the best mana dork for what I'm doing right now. It lets me cast Bombardier more reliably. It lets me cast Oko more reliably. So sometimes you have to look at 2 + 2 is 5 instead of the, the individual 4. And Birds of Paradise definitely fits that bill. Next up is Sentinel versus Delta. Not sure I like this pick. I feel like I should have taken Polluted Delta here, but, Sentinel of the Nameless City is very awesome. Turn 1 Mana Dork, turn 2 Sentinel. That's just gonna win games, so I guess it's defendable. Next pack here, very strong pack. We have Gristlebrand, we have Urza. Not for us, though. End up taking Chainsaw. Chainsaw is a card that can, I guess, incinerate an opponent's creature, and then you can sacrifice it to Gut or equip and do good things. So that card is probably decent. Not something I'm terribly excited to play. I take it over Firebolt because I have Bombardier. Next pack, here's 6. 6 is a card I like a lot, especially with fetches. I guess you don't even need fetches for it to matter. But yeah, having Retrace on your cards is awesome. 2/4 good stats against aggro. Yeah, this is just a good card. It's not really like the biggest snowball card, but it's kind of a snowball card. Here I take Crater Maker. Yeah, that's not an exciting pick at all. Right now, I think I'm settling into, let's see, red, green, splash, blue. I guess let's see. And the Seaga's Chariot Wield, which is amazing because this card is something I even considered taking on the first go around. So yeah, incredible addition. Here I take Legion Extruder. Then I take the Preacher because it's the best against my deck. Then Nadu comes all the way back. That's amazing. So thank you very much. Could have taken the Falls as well, but Nadu is just so good. Terra Sunder, most likely going to be a sideboard card for the Disenchant effect. A free Yavimaya, which could come in handy because I have landfall creatures. The landfall creatures will like me to sit on uncracked fetches until I can get an advantage, and Yavimaya allows me to do that, so it's probably going to be better than a basic forest in my deck. Free up the Beanstalk, that's pretty cool. All right, next pack has Prismatic Vista versus Arid Mesa. I'm not sure about this pick, so the thing about Prismatic Vista is it's a tricolor land, and I don't think Arid Mesa is that at the moment. Well, it can get black out of the Triome, but I don't really use black mana, so I go for the Vista because I know my deck is going to want at least an island, a mountain, and multiple forests. So I know this is a 3-color land, so I just take my medicine here. Mana Vault is another consideration, but at this point, fetches are awesome. You know, I have the Cobra and the Tracker and stuff. Here I pick up Breeding Pool, which is amazing. You know, duels, shocks especially. Of course, the Surveillance are also good, but this card is going to cast Oko and Nadu. Really love that pickup. Ignoble Hierarch is something that I also really would have wanted. But I mean, it was a tough pick. Marsh Flats is amazing. You know, we have Vamp Tutor. We even have a Triome, Spell Pierce. So great pack overall. I don't expect to see the Ignoble rather. So after having passed Ignoble, I'm lucky to get past Sylvan Caryatid, which is, you know, poor man's Ignoble Hierarch. Could even be better since it casts blue spells. So this is just, you know, it's not a Birds of Paradise, but it's good. It's very good. Very happy with that pickup out of a pack with not much else for me. So now I can pick up a Proving Ground. Proving Ground is most likely going to improve my mana. It's fetchable. I should have thought more about this Verge, I think. We can check the deck list pick when I'm done here. Here, I pick up Lightning Greaves to go with my Nadu, which is an amazing pickup because Nadu, up until this point, was nothing more than a, you know, solid creature. Lightning Greaves and Nadu lets you combo off. That's great. Now I get Twitching Doll. Twitching Doll is actually a card that I think is quite strong because it's a 5-mana accelerant. When I say 5 mana, like Rainbow, it can add any color. And in like drawn out games, all of a sudden you can just make a bunch of 2/2s. So really like this card. Great pickup for me at this point. There's Fanatic of Ronas. Not quite, you know, the Twitching Doll, but could be great. Can sacrifice the Bombardier, bring back a 4/4. It holds the forward well against aggro. I like the pickup. Notice this pack is amazing. Brain Freeze for combo, Oracle for a combo, Monolith for, you know, Rampy Artifact, Bone Crusher for any red deck, good fixing, powerful land. Show and Tell is a bit of a whiff. Chrome Box amazing. So yeah, this pack was great. And here's Seasoned Pyromancer that at this point I think the chance of me playing is bigger than any of the others, but double red is kind of rough. I will say that. And here, funnily enough, this kind of pays me off for speculating on black for such a long time. I get a very late, absolutely the latest you can get Mind Twist here. I guess I missed it in the pack that I opened. And I get the Ignoble back, so I'm feeling pretty good at this point. Yeah, I mean, actually I think this is the best Mind Twist deck you can have. You know, green ramp. 8 picking Thespian Stage, taking Fire Ice. I might be able to free roll it into my deck. Taking Bloodbraid Challenger, that card is not bad. When I'm, you know, when I'm red-green, this is a curve topper. That's pretty awesome. Crop rotation doesn't matter. Oracle doesn't matter. And there you have it. So let's look at the final deck list here. So as I said, I ended up in multicolor green. I ended up having the Prismatic Vista be a 3-color land because I'm playing multiple mountains, multiple forests, and the single island. So yeah, let's see. I'm green-red. Basically red because of Fury and Bombardiers, but that's totally fine. I have Bloodbraid Challenger as a curve topper, Chariot and Questing Beast as assertive threats that can get the opponent dead, Bombardier, Sentinel, Oko, and Palantir as, you know, mana dork into 3-drop, powerful snowball plays. Great acceleration, a little bit of burn between Fire, Ice, and Chainsaw. Nadu plus Lightning Greaves is pretty cool. And then I have the sneaky Mind Twist here, thanks to a couple of Triomes, my mana base, and Ignoble and Birds. So all in all, pretty happy with this deck. In these 64s, it's very hard to get, you know, the perfect deck. So I'm not gonna feel bad about a deck like this. I guess the weak points of the deck is, you know, Fanatic, Elvish Mystic, Chainsaw. Air Ice, maybe, but I mean, at that point, we're just being picky. So pretty excited to get to battle with this deck. Let's see how it goes. All right, guys, quick message here. If you want to have access to my deck guides, my strategy articles, whether you want to pitch me a sweet deck to play on the channel, whether you want to look into coaching or simply just want to say thank you for the content I put out, please check out my Patreon below and become a Baron today. Now, let's get back to the games. All right, round 1, game 3. This line hand looks decent. I can go turn 2 Twitching Doll, then I can go turn 3 Oko, play a somewhat fast Bloodbraid Challenger, so this should be fine. Opponent surveils Oddity to the graveyard, and that tells me they're in, they need lands, but who knows. Play my Twitching Doll. Here's Grim Monolith, which is super scary. I draw Cobra, which allows me to go Cobra, play an ordinary land, load blue, start charging the doll, playing Ilko on time, and I turn the Monolith into a 3/3. At this point, I don't want to see what's what the opponent can possibly have here. So the cool thing about turning an opponent's artifact into a 3/3 is it actually takes some time to kill the Oko. So now I draw fetch land, and I don't do my math very well here. I end up fetching. This is terrible. I shouldn't have fetched here because of this extra mana doesn't do anything because I'm gonna use my Twitching Doll for mana anyway. I hit Fire Ice, which is not a good hit here. It's basically just a cantrip. Target my opponent's island. I draw a Chariot, which is reasonable. My opponent remands my 4/3, so I can trigger it again next turn, so that's not bad. Now I can get in for 2. And as I said, the Oko goes up to 4 here, so that's why it's taken a while for the opponent to actually kill the Oko. The Oko goes to 1. Here's Spellseeker for a Lightning Bolt. At this point, I have to admit, as you can see, my clock just disappeared. I was doing a lot of stuff at this point, so time can be an issue. So I think with my opponent fighting Lightning Bolt here, I think what I'm supposed to do here is crack the clue end of turn, because it's a 99% chance the Oko is going to die. And if my mana is locked up for the remainder of the game, that could come back to haunt me. So if you're ever in this position, just crack the clue, and then if your opponent decides to kill something else than Oko, you'll just be happy that that happened. So let's see. I think I go I think I go Chariot here, but let's see. Seeka's Chariot, pretty good for closing out the opponent. Here I can float a red mana and kill the 3/3 with Chainsaw, so maybe I can equip later. I decide to attack here to keep the board smaller, basically because I don't want my opponent to chum block the Chariot later. Oath of Druids is a very, very bad piece of news here. So I decide to play Bloodbraid Challenger. Let's see if we can hit something sick. Not quite. I hit Birds of Paradise. Here I decide to make 3 2/2s so I can crew the Chariot with creatures with Summoning Sickness. I get in for 12 here and I copy a token. So I put my opponent to 5. So I'm basically just putting on as much pressure as possible. Here's Torsten, and I believe Torsten finds Mere Battlesphere. Yes. So now since I saw through the breach in an earlier game, I now have to craft my game plan around how to finish my opponent. So let's give this a quick think. Also, this is kind of cool. I'm at 2 minutes here, so I don't have that much real time to figure it out, but we actually have time now. So my opponent goes through the breach, Mere Battlesphere. That's 5 blockers. That's 6 blockers with Torsten, right? So let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that means only the 2/2 gets through. So how can we find 3 more damage, preferably in the air? And I'm very happy that I first of all, I figure out equipping the birds. Second of all, I figure out not to crew the Chariot. Because if I crew the Chariot, I go down an attacker. Now I have, because I need 2 creatures to crew it, right? So I need exactly all of these. So here I'm just playing Lightning Greaves, which doesn't really accomplish much, to be honest. It's mainly a false sense of security. And I sent the clowns here. Let's see if my opponent can do better than Battle Ball out of a Through the Breach. Looks like Through the Breach Battle Ball it is. And my opponent goes for the blocks, and I get in for exactly 5. And I clinch round 1. And that means I'm on to the semifinals of the first pot. So, nail biter here. Let's keep it up. Alrighty, round 2, which is the semifinals of the first pot. I'm playing my red-green with splashes against blue-white control. I'm currently up a game. This is game 2. Nothing happening here in the early game. My opponent also did show some creatures, so I'm pretty happy about this Fury, but if I'm not doing anything in the meantime, that card is, you know, just solid instead of insane. Keep drawing lands here. I consider icing my opponent on the upkeep. I decided to not do it because I think I might need it for pitching later while taking over the game with Bloodbraid Challenger and a good Cascade. I kind of regret it here with my opponent playing a decent 3-drop. I draw another land. This is really not good. I'm going to get it in for getting in for 4. Let's see if they have a cool follow-up here. Opponent has 4 lands in play, 5 cards in hand. Draw Twitching Doll. Not amazing. But at least it blocks the Blade Splicer, slows things down a little bit. Or it requires my opponent to interact with it. Oh, Black Lotus here. So here's Witch Enchanter, basically doing a Flametongue Kavu impression on the doll. So now I'm kind of scared my opponent can explode with another 4-drop and bury me. So what I do is I tap the Lotus. Also, it has the added benefit of, you know, cantripping me further into my deck and making sure my opponent cannot hold up 2-mana counter that they showed game 1. I draw another land, and this is not looking good, but I do have some good 5-drops, and I draw Mind Twist. So what I decide to do here is count the damage on the board. It's 6 damage, but I can Mind Twist away the rest of my opponent's hand and then kind of come back with my 5-drops afterwards. So I Mind Twist. My opponent has the counterspell. I'm feeling very good about myself at this point. Worth noting is my opponent could have sacked the Lotus to prevent the cantrip, but they didn't want to do that because the Lotus could hardcast Damn, even though the card is in the deck, to just cast like a Wrath of God, right? So I got pretty lucky here. I get hit down to 6. My opponent, thankfully, does not follow up with anything. Here I go, Fury to stabilize, kill those 2 on the left, deploy an Ignoble. Now I'm dominating the board. My opponent had 1 card last turn, then now played a land, so I knew my opponent drew that land, and I keep drawing bangers here. So let's see if we can... Oh, baby. That is exactly what you want. You want to cascade into good old Broadside Bombardier. So I decide to sacrifice the Ignoble here before it blocks. At this point, it's just a race. If I let my opponent have this creature, they can block the Fury. I decide to hit my opponent to 1. My opponent sacrificed a Lotus here, which is scary. Dig through time, so this could be anything. And let's see what that is. Firebolt on the broadside. Very good play. Anti-Fairy. Removing the Fury, but the Questing Beast plus Bloodbraid Challenger is exactly 8, and I hit my opponent down to 0, and I clinch my spot in the pot finals. Let's see if we can finish the job we were paid to do. All right, this is game 3, playing for the right to draft in the top 8. Always super excited to be there. So this is something I talked about during the draft portion. The bread and butter turn 1 Elf, turn 2 Sentinel. Gotta love that draw. Here's Mind Twist. Currently does nothing unless I play Twitching Doll, but I think I should play the 3/4. I'm happy I do. Here's Otter. Not a card that does that much right now. So now I can go Tracker, Land, Map. Get a little bit of blue action. I decide to explore onto the Tracker and mill over Naru here because I don't have blue mana right now. I do have blue mana from Twitching Doll, but yeah, I'm unsure about that. Here's Profts, which, you know, is pretty good with the Otter, I will say. So here's Bitter Triumph on the Tracker. Now my opponent has a 3/5. I decide to mill over Cobra with the Explore. Develop the Doll. I decide to map once more, I believe. Yep. And I keep Palantir on top of my deck. So this game is actually getting a bit iffy here. Let's see. Opponent attacks with Otter. So since I have 6 toughness, I can block here. My opponent needs to cast 2 spells. I call the bluff, which turns out to be pretty strong. I now draw Palantir. My opponent knows about that. So I try and Mind Twist my opponent with 3 mana up. Pretty amazing situation. Let's see. Baleful Mastery. Okay. So my opponent kills the Sentinel in response. That's totally fine. They lose their hand. Liliana and Baleful Strix. Love those cards. Here's Palantir. My opponent's at 9. They decided to mill and take 4. So down to 5 here. Here's Emperor, bringing back Baleful Strix. So while that is not necessarily a combo, it's still quite scary what Emperor can do with a looter in play. I draw some lands. My opponent now lets me draw cards. Okay. They're at 5 life. Here's Emperor bringing back the Baleful Strix, basically just a cantrip. And here's Sorin. Putting more counters now. Ooh, this is so sweet. My opponent can even bring back Nadu here. My opponent is now racing. I'm chump blocking and taking 4. So right now I'm feeling very good about not taking the damage from the Otter earlier. Worth noting is if my opponent can draw extra cards, which they can with Otter, this card will target the Emperor with +1 counters every turn. So right now things are a bit scary. I draw Fury. What does that mean for business? I believe I just killed a Zorin. Is that it? Yeah, I killed a Zorin. Then play Fanatic. I keep my Twitching Doll around. My opponent lets me draw, which is Bloodbraid Challenger. Opponent mills over the Master of Death, brings it back, goes to 3. I now decide to block. Let's see if my opponent has anything. If they do, then I get a Fanatic into the graveyard. If they don't, they're kind of in trouble. I level my Twitching Doll end of turn. Let's see what I can hit on the Challenger here. I hit Questing Beach, which is sick. That card is very, very sick right now. So I can get in with the squad here. My opponent has Enduring Curiosity, which is quite good because it trades there. There's a trade, and my opponent's eating there. So I actually could have sent the squad here and won the game, but I didn't do the math correctly. And now all of a sudden we have, you know, an actual game on our hands here. Let's see. Oh, I can bring back the Challenger here. Okay, so now I can even manage. Yeah. This is big. I can manage the graveyard, getting rid of the scary creatures here, thanks to the escape, and play second main phase Challenger. I hit Fire Ice. So now I can finish off the Emperor that already took 4 and deal my opponent 1 damage. That is obviously incredibly strong. And there's the Broadside Bombardiers. So now I feel like my opponent's in trouble, but nice Miracle Metamorphosis Fanatic here keeps things somewhat exciting. Let's see. Now my opponent has... Yeah, the Master is surveilling, getting in there. I take the damage. My opponent draws a card. Unclear. Maybe I just should have blocked there. I draw Lightning Greaves, which doesn't do a whole lot. My opponent is just dead if they cannot counter this this Bombardier. I just decide to equip it. Again, full sense of security. And now, before blocks, I just have to fling something at my opponent, and I decide to go for the Bloodbraid Challenger, dealing my opponent 7 and locking my spot in the top 8. So this game was pretty scary. I feel like if I'd done the math better a few turns prior, I would have been fine. Also, when you have a Twitching Doll in play with 4 counters on it, there's always this question that you should have made 2/2s a turn ago. Palantir got me there, drawing a card each turn after doming my opponent and getting them in reach, and then a card like Bombardier is just, you know, an accident waiting to happen. So that's going to do it for the first draft pod. Up next is the top 8 draft, and after that, top 8 replays. Okay, guys, top 8 time. This is the best feeling. I've top 8'd, I don't know, 500 tournaments on Magic Online, but it's still the same great feeling every time. So let's see if we can do it to the opposition. I start the draft off with a Mana Crypt out of a weak pack. I think if I don't take that Mana Crypt, I'm probably taking something like Fatal Push, Vaultborn Tyrant. Yeah, which is not ideal. So opening on a Mana Crypt is amazing. I feel like Mana Crypt is better than a Mox because it lets me play an assertive deck. And yeah, I think that card is insane. I don't think there's two opinions about that. I followed up with a nice Tamiyo here. I take Tamiyo over Oko, which is basically saying that this card is cheaper. This card makes my deck with 100% certainty, where Oko, something weird can happen where I cannot support a Simic card. So Mana Crypt into Tamiyo, amazing start here. I'm already thinking about potential artifact synergies. I should take note that I'm passing Thupter Foundry here, so let's see if that comes back. Other than that, I don't know, Walking Ballista, there's some combination with the Fox Companion and some Monoliths, but for sure, Mana Crypt into Tamiyo is amazing. Now is an interesting one where I end up taking Narset. I think if somebody told me you should take Trinket Mage to have, you know, another way to get your Mana Crypt, I can't really argue with that. That would be fine. If somebody says you should take Doomsday, Blue-Black Doomsday is an amazing deck. Also very, very possible. I decide to take the Narset here and look into potentially a little bit of a combo option here. So this is an interesting pick because I'm not too big on the workshop, but I think with a start like this, it's definitely a conversation worth having. The workshop versus Underground Sea here is, that's a tough one. I end up taking the workshop. Let's say I took the Doomsday here a few picks back, third pick Doomsday, then I take the Underground Sea. So pretty interesting to see how those different paths play out. So I take Workshop here for the potential. And speaking about that, next pack I take Basalt. This is actually a very bad pack. I take Basalt over, I guess, Brazen Borrower. So now I'm really looking into having some kind of high end in the deck. Let's see if I can get there. Here I take Magda. I think what I was supposed to do here is take Sword of the Meek and speculate on wheeling the Thupter Foundry. I can say with pretty big certainty that I did not register the Thupter Foundry in the previous pack. But I end up taking Magda here. Blue-red artifact synergies. That's a good combination. So that's the pick. Next pick is Miscalculation. You can argue for Burst Lightning, but the fact that I know that I'm blue and I don't know if I'm red just makes me take Miscalc. Not much to say there. Next up is Jace Rin's Prodigy, also a very clean pick, I feel like. Jace has huge potential down the road. You could also argue that taking Breeding Pool is a good hedge here because blue-green artifacts is good with, you know, Nadu, etc. Something like Tracker that makes clues, Chariot that's an artifact, stuff like that. But I already passed the Oko, so there's a little bit of synergy left out already. This is pretty cool. So normally I would just take the Hedge Maze and move on with my life, or the Brain Surge, but I actually think the Battle Ball here is a good pickup. I have Workshop, I have Basalt, so yeah, I like that as my high end. Maybe I can get a Tinker. Next up, I decided to take the Loran, basically saying that, yeah, this is probably, let's see, there's some point where I made a, yeah, I think this is not an actual pick, this is an auto pick. So, as I said, I'm doing a lot of things while playing these, so there will be a slip up once in a while. I think it's pretty clear I should take Ballista or Relic of Sauron here. This card doesn't make any sense, so this is not a real decision. Whether I speculate on Ballista or I take Relic of Sauron, I already have Workshop, so both of these cards would be serviceable in my deck. I should for sure take one of those. Up next, I wield the Trinket Mage, which is obviously awesome since it was, you know, in the conversation first go around. And then round out the pack with a Shredder that, if it makes the deck, it's probably not going to be one of the best cards in my deck. But then again, if I get a lot of cheap artifacts, it's easy to have it as a, you know, 2-4 or 3-5, and at that point, it's just a serviceable speed bump for any aggressive deck. I end up the pack here with the cards I'm very unlikely to play. Pack 2, I open up Ancestral Recall, and now I feel great about everything, but especially the Jace Rin's Prodigy pick. Ancestral Recall, is amazing for obvious reasons. We snap that off. And we get shipped an Orcish Bowmaster. At this point, I'm trying to think if I have any black fixing. I'm actually not sure I do. I guess we can scroll a tiny bit here. I don't have any black fixing, but I do have a Narset. The reason why I mentioned that is now, draw 7s are even more potent. So I take the Bowmasters over Nadu. Had I picked up any green fixing, I would probably take Nadu here. Then I pick up a Petal, again, playing into the artifact synergies of the deck. Could take Baragoyf, it's a better standalone card. I could take Probe, that's kind of like the free roll. Could take Spell Bomb, that can help my, Metalcraft for future Opal. It can help Kappa Cannoneer, it can help Ursa Saga, it can help a lot of small things. But I take the Petal here, can accelerate and do some nasty stuff. And now I'm going to pick for Library of Alexandria. Pretty awesome. Also, I noticed the Lightning Greaves. For the Nadu, somebody's going to be happy about that. I noticed the Prism, that would be decent. Lorien is decent, Mana League is good. I then get past the Dismember. I like some removal, and in this deck, right now, for all I know, it could be, it could be mono blue, so Dismember is definitely castable. I take it over Cryptic Command. Then I get shipped a Talisman. Blue Talisman in decks like this are, they're decent. Nothing crazy. Probably could do a little bit better on this pick 6, but that's how it goes. Ooh, this is where it gets exciting. Pick 7, Kappa Cannoneer versus Mystic Confluence. So because I have, cheap artifacts, I have a Workshop, I have a Basalt, I end up taking Kappa Cannoneer. It's a bit annoying because if any of these blue cards were in the other pack, I could get both, but that's how it goes. Now I pick up Shadow Spear. Very, very good with Kappa Cannoneer, both as a Mox Sapphire to power it out, but also equipped to the Kappa Cannoneer to actually win creature races. Batterskull would be decent as well with Workshop. Here I pick up Urborg. Urborg is most likely not going to be better than Swamp in my deck, or at least very marginally better. So that's nothing crazy. I pass on the Factor Fiction because I believe I can get a deck where Factor Fiction would be my worst card anyway. Nice little free fixing here with Darkslick Shores and Creeping Tar Pit. Wow, okay. I take Tar Pit over the Spell Bomb because I just want to solidify my Bowmasters. Tarnished Interpreter. Double black is rough, but it does make 4 artifact. Let's see. Here's a Revoker I might play. Here's a Mightstone, a Weak Stone that I hope I don't play. And we're off to pack 3. Time Twister versus Prismatic Vista. And this is where I have to respect the fact that Bowmasters and Narset have combo potential with Twister. So I pick up the Time Twister, reasonably happy about that. Broadside Bombardier, the best card in the pack. Prismatic Vista, sad to let that one go. There's even a Talisman of Dominance. Then I get past Tolarian Academy and Sheldred and Snapcaster Mage. And yeah, it's unclear if this is the correct pick because my artifact package is not that amazing so far, but it's decent, and I feel like I should take the Academy and focus on cheap artifacts for the rest of the pack. So yeah, snap off Tolarian Academy. So while Chroma Sea Shark is not a cheap artifact, it is a card that produces artifacts, so I'm happy to pick that up. Then I pick up a Memory Lapse, Bread and Butter, great card, in a pack with nothing. That's the dream scenario. And here's a Spiral. So actually, now I have 2 draw punishers, and I have a couple of draw 7. So pretty excited for that one. Here's Phyrexian Metamorph. That's insane with Kappa Cannoneer, and just, good with Workshop in general. And here, pick 7, Ursa Saga. That is incredible. I can't tell you how incredible that is. Would have loved the Mystical for Ancestral, obviously, but Ursa Saga, oof, what a card. Fairy Mastermind here might make my deck if I'm struggling a little bit. I do wield the Talisman of Dominance. That is amazing. Pick that up. It casts my Bowmasters. It's an artifact that helps ramp my stuff out. Love that card. Helps Academy. Here I take Otter. Unclear if I'm going to play that card. I take the Staff. I don't think I'm playing that card ever. Take Winds of Abandon. I take Zuran Orb, which, funnily enough, I end up registering. And yeah, this is looking to be a pretty cool deck. Let's take a look at how the deck ended up. All right, here's the deck. Yeah, so let's see. First of all, decent mana base here. I end up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 and a Talisman, I believe. Yes, so 5 black sources for the Bowmasters. That's awesome. I mean, other than that, I'm just mono blue. So I listed most of my artifacts here. I have Trinket for Mana Crypt, Trinket for Basalt. I have Ancestral, I can replay it with Jace. I have the draw 7 potential, can hardcast Mere Battlesphere thanks to either Workshop or Monolith. And I have some counter spells to hold the fort. So this deck is not, it doesn't have the best closing power, but it is very strong because you don't interact that much with the deck, so you kind of have to hope that your plan beats your opponent's plan, which is always a bit scary, right? But obviously, I'm very happy with this deck. I have a Mana Crypt and Ancestral Recall, Tamiyo, Bowmasters, 2 Punishers, and 2 Draw 7s. So obviously, I'm excited to get to battle with this deck. Let's see how it goes. Okay, quarterfinals time in the 64. I'm up a game, I'm on the draw here, and this looks like a mulligan to me. Mulligan into a better hand, but not a good hand. Put back an island. Turn 1 Woodlands. I draw Tamiyo, which is probably one of the best draws in my deck. Put in place Twitching Doll. Can get in for damage here. I now have a couple of options. I believe I develop a Talisman and Shadow Spear. Opponent fetches. Here's Shorakai. So Shorakai is a great card, but I can copy it with my Metamorph and actually get my own Planeswalker going here. So that's pretty exciting. I could even do it for 3 mana so I can activate right away. So I play Shorakai, copy it, play a land. I activate right away to play around, draw Punishers and flip my Tamiyo. I draw Kappa Cannoneer. Amazing draw. I decide to discard Tarpit. I now tick up my Tamiyo, and I kind of have this clock going. Oh, he was through the breach coma. This card is amazing. This is kind of, I don't even know which set this is from. This is a super cool card. 8/12. I'm sure there's some, mythology, lore, something that I'm missing about the stats here. But attacking for 8 cannot be countered. That's not relevant because it came through the breach. It has Trample and Ward, so it's basically always going to connect. 8/12. When it deals damage to a player, create 4 3/3s. So, yeah, that sucks. Believe my opponent decides to attack me here, which I really liked at the time. So I take 7 thanks to Tamiyo. My opponent now has 4 3/3s. I can now use my clues, my Shadow Spear. This is amazing to play Kappa Cannoneer. I play a second land, so now I have Dismember and Shorakai activation up in case I don't need to mana leak. Opponent draws. Opponent gets in there. But there are only 2 3s, which is very good for me. So I chum block 1 and I eat 1 with the Cannoneer. I know I can kind of stave off the race with the Shadow Spear. Let's see what the opponent goes for here. And here's Natural Order. So my opponent sacrifices their only green creature, and I have a Memory Lapse up. So perfect run out here. I decide to draw with Shorakai and discard the Shredder because, okay. So I decide to not play the Talisman because I want to hold up Miscalculation, I guess. Okay, this is cool. And my opponent's not going to block anyway because I had a 6/6 Trampler. So I like this play. My opponent uses Shorakai. Unclear what they discarded. There's 2 cards. Discards Natural Order. Yes, because I Memory Lapsed it. My opponent is out of green creatures. So now it looks like my Tamiyo is dead. That's totally fine. At this point, I'm all in on the Kappa Cannoneer. Opponent cracks. Chromatic Star plays Lightning Greaves, and I decide to miscalc it because I don't know if I'm able to miscalc my opponent's next play. So I might as well, get my value in here and hopefully win the race. I draw Ursus Saga, which is crazy good. Discard a random land to Shorakai. Now I can make my Kappa Cannoneer unblockable, get in for 7. I now have the mana to either dismember or crack some clues. Opponent draw some cards. Opponent casts Rumble. I believe this is the turn where my opponent could have used Shifting Woodlands. 1, 2, 3, 4 to create a copy of Coma, but maybe that's not gonna do it here against Kappa Cannoneer. So now my opponent's just dead, right? I can just produce an artifact and it's over. I sacrifice some clues for good measure. My opponent knows it's over. I even draw Ancestral Recall. So the reason why my opponent concedes here is my Saga goes to 2, then I make a token. Now I have an 8 unblockable. So I got to clone my opponent's draw engine and then just draw better from there, I guess. The counterspells came in clutch. You know, the miscalculating the Lightning Greaves is probably quite strong here instead of losing to Nadu and all of these creatures. So I got pretty lucky here, and yeah, I escaped the quarterfinals. Let's see what we can do in the semis. All right, things are getting exciting now. Semifinals time. I have a cool hand here. I'm on the play for game 3. Looks like we can go turn 1 Spear, turn 2 Lapse, and then I need to find out the perfect time to develop the Ursa Saga depending on what happens. Ooh, turn 1 Sentinel. That is nasty. So I decide to play the Saga out here. When it attacks, here's Thraben. My opponent has a very annoying aggro control deck. I developed the island here because I plan to activate Saga on my following turn, so that means I would want to play Untapped Academy from hand. Right now, I hope my opponent doesn't play a good spell, because then I'm left with a hard decision whether to make a token or Memory Lapse. My opponent has a good play here, Spellbinder. Spellbinder taking care of the Memory Lapse now makes it a 4-drop. My opponent could also have made my Battlesphere a 9-drop. I try and make a 2-2, I get plowed. That's annoying. Now I try and make it 3-3. I end up with the equipment here, and I'm holding up Tolarian Academy, which is a 3 mana at this point. My opponent can fly in. My opponent's passing the turn with 5 mana. That is a bit concerning. Let's see, is this the Emperor? It is the Emperor, but I can go 4 mana Memory Lapse from exile, pay for the Sentinel, get in for some damage. So I'm currently doing fine in the race. Here's Jace Wrench Prodigy. The reason why I played Jace Wrench Prodigy here before getting Mystic Confluence, despite my opponent having Caracas, this at least, you know, locks up a mana on my opponent's side of the table. This Mystic Confluence is brutal. Mana Crypt is working. Here's Tar Pit. 7 mana. Mirror Battlesphere. Develop the Tar Pit. Opponent cracks a clue, gets in the air. I know my opponent has the Emperor, so now we have kind of a weird situation. So I'm trying to bait my opponent's Emperor with... Oh, this is crazy good play. I was trying to bait my opponent's Emperor with an attacking Tar Pit, but my opponent just has a Cryptic and taps me out here. I decide to hold on to this Surin Orb because I don't think I'm dying right now. And I could use it for a Kappa Cannoneer later. I lost a flip. I go to 1 life here. So now I'm trying to kill... Oh, shoot. This is good. I'm trying to kill my opponent's Emperor here. I believe I attack it with both to play around a flashy threat. And I'm at 3 life here. What can we do? What can Narset do here? I draw Ancestral Recall. Sure. I draw Kappa Cannoneer. Is that good enough? I grow it with the Surin Orb that I slow rolled, equip it. So now I have to use Surin Orb to keep myself afloat. This game is absurd. This game is absurd. So my opponent gets in there, plows the... Oh, crap. I forgot about that one. I get plowed here because of the Sphinx out of the yard. I do gain some life in the process. Now I can double block that one. Take 6. Oh, thought I would take 6 there, but I'm at 7 life here. Lose the flip. Plague Monolith. Basalt Monolith, rather. Equip the Tar Pit. Give it lifelink. Attack for 5 damage here. So, equipping over, playing Jace, basically just to lock up the Caracas mana. My opponent has Cauldra complete. Also, look at my time here. This game is a mess. So let's see what happens. Caracas on the Jace. Attacking for a lot. So my opponent can cast Mystic Confluence, but they don't have the mana. So I decide to go to 1 here, and now I have to... yeah. This is so annoying because this is not what happened. What happened? Magic Online Replays broke. No, that's terrible. So what ends up happening here is I sacrifice 2 lands on my upkeep here to stay alive, and I end up winning this game with 3 seconds left on the clock. After attacking with Tar Pit and finding a way to deal with the germ that I can't remember right now. Oh no, the mana crypt flip is bugged on the replays. That sucks. Because look at this. I can probably show you guys here. So let's see. Let's find this tournament. This is the one. So it says 6-0. Let's see if I can click that one. Hey, Woo Burgers. I beat that guy 2-1. Yeah, that's just terrible. All right. I guess I'll see you guys for the finals. Okay, it's the grand finals time. I'm still bummed out about that other game because that game actually took like 5 more turns and ended up winning with Xaxes with like 3 seconds left on my clock. So, well, we're on the play here. I play against black-red aggressive deck. My hand has turned 2 Bowmasters, turned 3 Basalt, turned 4 Battlesphere without, even if I draw 3 Yu-Gi-Oh cards from here. So, obviously have a great hand. Opponent plays turn 1 Ragavan, not dashed. I decide to slow roll the Bowmasters to give my opponent less information, but they go Marionette Apprentice. That's just a solid play. First main phase, hedge a little bit against a flash blocker. So I kill in response. My opponent makes a 1-1. Worth noting, my opponent's missed a land drop. So I decide to develop a lot of stuff here, basically playing into the upside that I draw something else to use my mana on next turn. Sheldred's Edict on the Bowmasters. I trade off with a Servo, get drained a little bit here. So my opponent has a 1-2, and I have a ton of mana in play. Here's Trinket Mage for Shadow Spear. Here's Mere Battle Ball. My opponent now plays Screaming Nemesis, and this card is complicated because if I get a hit in, I'll take a lot of damage. Well, it'll kind of be canceled out, and then I cannot gain life ever. So what I realized here is if I use Tar Pit, this is a way to have access to life gain over and over. So I really love this equip, and I really love this attack. Getting into the race here. Here's Baragoyf. That's a very annoying card. Lost the flip. I draw Academy, which is kind of funny. Here's a Tar Pit attack. Play Academy. Equip over. Let's see if I untap the Monolith here. I don't know what happened there. Plays to learn Academy. Okay, interesting. Oh, right. Maybe that's why I don't equip. I don't know. So I decided to trade here. My opponent has the 3 Devils. Those are annoying. I draw Ursa Saga. I'm not sure what I'm doing here. Could be misclicking. Maybe there's something wrong with these replays. Let's just see what happens. Here, I believe I don't know what's going on. I think this Basalt Monolith is untapped. And I'm attacking with Tar Pit here. Wow, I can't tell you how annoying this is. Because I knew this was kind of a grind between Tar Pit and my opponent's plan. Bankbuster is totally fine. Copter is totally fine. Also, I don't know what this Ursa Saga is doing in my hand. So whenever I tap this mana, I think I'm attacking with Tar Pit. I don't know. I'm just excited to see where this ends up. Opponent draws with Bankbuster. I draw Revoker that I use to shut down my opponent's Copter, I believe. See, look at this. 1, 2, 3. Looks like no no cards are being cast. It's kind of weird. Because I'm for sure attacking with Tar Pit this whole time, but it's just not showing. So, oof, okay, that was terrible, the last two replays. I'm so sorry about that. So the point about this game is, if I ever attack with a Battle Ball with a Shadow Spear on it, the life that I gain, my opponent can just deal me straight back and then shut down life gain for the remainder of the game. So what actually ended up happening here is I used my unblockable creature to attack over and over, and thus winning the race quite easily while, holding the fort with small creatures. I remember I did play this, naming Smuggler's Copter to shut down fire. I certainly also played this in order to build a big board and defend. And the 4 damage and 4 life just got my opponent in the end, and I end up taking down the tournament. Okay, that was certainly not ideal. I've had some of these bugs a few months ago, but it's been a while, and yeah, this was a terrible time to have those. I hope you guys enjoyed some of the video anyway. I hopefully the next replay will be better. Taking down one of these tournaments is not easy. I'm very happy when I managed to do so, and I'm for sure going to play more of them in the future. So yeah, look out for some more Vintage Cube action in the future, and yeah. I'm excited to see you guys back on the channel next time. So yeah, take care, and thanks for watching.